Hi Scorpio, here is a general look at your solar chart for December 2015 and January 2016. But before I go there, I just want to share some astro thoughts with you. Now that last month I was mentioning the Saturn-Neptune transit, how it's affecting us over November, December, and also popping up again at times in 2016. I also mentioned the Uranus-Pluto transit, and I just want to say something else about that now. These two, of course, are behind the general change, meltdown in some cases, huge radical change going on across the globe, culturally, economically, socially, to do with belief systems as well, especially now that Saturn has come into Sagittarius. I'll be saying more about that in the stars for 2016, which are coming out very shortly now. I just want to mention in the first half of December we have Mars in challenging aspect to Uranus-Pluto. Mars can be a little bit of a trigger for these two, and tensions that are pushed down beneath the surface inherent in the Uranus-Pluto aspect will emerge, will get pushed up, you know, like tectonic plates, kind of buckling and crunching against each other, and then explosions of sort of like, you know, the tension or the volcanic eruptions, and of course it's for a fleeting time. It's just over the first half of December. Every time Mars comes around into a cardinal sign, the same thing's going to happen. Has done in 2015, will do in 2016, and of course in 2014 and 2017, because the Uranus-Pluto transit, even though it's no longer exact, is going to rumble on for a few more years, and we will see the effects globally of this. And those of us who have been on the planet a long time can really see the distinct and marked changes going on, and just how things are run, and not only that, but how the general tone of the way humans are one with one another, coming more from the mental side, the intellectual side, and far less from the heart side, because of course through the internet and through texting and blogging, and we are using our left brain a huge amount more than just meeting people down the pub. So anyway, that's a whole other subject. I just want to mention Mars coming onto here, triggering these two, might be minor in your life, but I'm just looking at the global sort of situation here. The tension build-up could, you know, is always looking like a pressure cooker for a way of release. So this could bring out the harsher side, the manipulative, controlling, unscrupulous side. Particularly when Mars and Pluto get together, there's usually sort of underhand dealings going on. Or if it doesn't feel like that, then it can just feel like that one has got one's arm twisted up behind one's back because of some kind of emotional blackmail. Now, of course, we can bring these things on ourselves as well, you know, feeling conscientious and obliged, etc. But just want you to be aware of that. So going back to the worldwide sort of influence of this, you can get an idea by the way of where these are in your natal chart, if you have it, by seeing which house they are in and then looking it up online. There's a plethora of information now online for everything to do with astrology, so just find it online. I'm going to tell you where they are in your sun sign forecast a little bit in a few minutes. So the global effects will involve, you know, again, you know, the banks, the governments, the financial property markets, the establishment, the status quo, and of course there's many in these sorts of positions that don't want the power base to shift, and they are in the habit of steamrollering over our universal freedoms. And of course the internet's going to come up as well in this sort of way, as well as maybe radio and TV. Because of Saturn being in the communication sign as Sagittarius. But so one side will tend to feel sort of outraged and victimized, and the other will seem, you know, that they will they will not have a conscience. They will see it as their inalienable right to do these things, and will seem quite ruthless and only concerned with maintaining the control that they are used to, because they're trying to balance the books, or they just see it as they know better. And then on the flip side, energy levels can be very, very high with Mars Pluto, I have to say. So in your personal life, if you do have a mountain to climb, if you have a fight on your hands, then under this transit, much can be achieved, and you will possibly win as well, because even though Mars is in a contentious sort of angle with Pluto, it's a sort of energy that you need, which is very stubborn, and it's energy that will dig its heels in and help you. It depends on where Mars Pluto, of course, is in your chart. So for some people this will be minor, for others, and then you'll notice people around you that you know are getting it more strongly because of the degrees. It's always to do with the degrees of these things on a planet or on an important point in the chart. But you'll probably win, and but you won't be able to do that without modifying something along the way, without maybe letting go of something and compromising along the way. And you'll have to be canny and intuitive, listen to that gut knowing, as the powers that be, or the controlling faction, whether that's, you know, bosses, teachers, parents, or something even bigger than that, circumstances beyond your control, can feel like it's, you know, yeah, it's beyond your ability to do anything about. But this is a great aspect for getting to the bottom of things, digging out the rot, and doing that in whatever way necessary, and then to regenerate, starting with whatever is left to build upon, whether that's in your private life or in across the globe in a bigger sort of a way. And instead of coming from ego, a fear-based mentality, and this is a big ask, because we are in a time of opportunity to shift into a much more expanded, advanced level of consciousness, and this is our invitation. This, you know, we're still in this in this turning point time, and before the whole thing shuts down, if we can't sort of step up to the plate in some way and do things in a more compassionate, refined, elegant sort of way, instead of just shouting and screaming and shooting at each other, then we're going to end up right back where we were before, and then we have got to wait another few thousand years for the other opportunity, the next opportunity to come round again, and that is related to the galactic center. So just thought I'd mention that. And now for the rest of these 2 months forecast until the 22nd. Finances, goods, resources, services, the piggy bank, the property, the possessions. There will be discussions about these, one or many of these, or there could be just more of a central theme going on there on that level of material security. You could be looking at how to improve things materially, and getting your ducks in a row. Your thinking will tend to revolve around essential needs and gathering information related to that, and also getting connections related to that, and maybe more paperwork, correspondence also related to that. Then from the 10th, Mercury moves into a very outgoing, chatty area, but the Sun has still got these material concerns going on. But Mercury is now out there gathering information, making crucial contacts, linking and sharing stuff, finding out stuff, and also sharing what it knows. And then until the 5th, Venus is actually has been since November in the sign before yours, so you keeping your feelings to yourself, or maybe not feeling as though you can come right out with certain things in certain company. It could be like that. And being a little bit more emotionally sensitive, being there for others, maybe putting yourself out in a way which is a little bit of a stress and a strain on you, and others can be oblivious to what's going on. But however, this transit does tend to mean that you do feel supported by others in maybe subtle ways or background ways, or you support them in subtle ways or background ways. Being part of a specialist closed circle or a specialist sort of environment is also another way this can pan out. It's a good idea for you to immerse yourself in nurturing pursuits which feed your soul whenever you can, but also to just be a little bit more aware of your boundaries, and not just lose yourself in what's going on for everybody else. I mean, as long as you just keep that thread to yourself, then that's fine. And then from the 5th, Venus is in your sign and supporting a very gregarious, more outgoing mood. The Sun is still in this material area, but this Venus change of signs means that you're more up for meeting the world with enthusiasm, coming across as more attractive to others, and others being easier to get on side for whatever your schemes and plans happen to be, and just reaching out. For some of you, it could be a boost to the love life. Some of you, others find you appealing, charming, attractive, all of these sorts of things that many of us strive for and not many achieve. But when we get Venus in our sun sign, or indeed if this is your rising sign, is even stronger with the rising sign. So professional relationships get a boost as well. Love life, did I mention that? You just come across as more welcoming, warm, whatever you want to come across as, you can do well if you are trying to negotiate for something, or apply for something, or physically, things have been out of balance, things will tend to come back into balance. So yeah, it's good news. And then we have to look at Mars. Mars all month is in the background of your chart, meaning that this notion of being the support, being the facilitator, being the enabler, and putting yourself out in ways which are known best only to yourself because of maybe inner tensions or whatever's going on, is how Mars might be expressing itself in that way. It's a dynamic energy, but it's in a very quiet, behind the scenes sort of area. So this is the time for healing, it's for nurture, it's for introspection, it's for mulling things over, maybe whilst in the midst of other more dynamic activities. But there is this sort of pull towards the unseen, to the intuitive side, to the kind of inner knowing. So even though you might be going along with something, or you have to put your hours in, there is this strong, almost like a tapping into another level of your consciousness. So I hope you're following this. And indeed, this is a good time to get intuitive advice as well, or indeed, perhaps you're the best one to give yourself the intuitive advice. This is a non-intellectual area. It's more the area of spirituality, healing, and the unconscious, dreams, but also listening to that small voice within. And because your energies are turned inwards, your physical energy can drop a little bit, because maybe you're doing a lot more in the dream world than, of course, you realize, or maybe some of you do. But your physical energy can drop a little bit, and it's more easy to get sucked in emotionally to other people's stuff. So again, the boundary thing, I would keep that in mind. And then the Sun moves on the 22nd into a very much less materially sort of preoccupied area, an area of meeting, greeting, mixing, mingling, connecting, and you being on the move more, maybe. And then that's taking us into January, where the Sun will be in that position until the 21st of January, and also Mercury is at the root of your chart throughout January, and that means maybe socially busy time, more toing and froing in a locality. Maybe short journeys going on there. Maybe you are connecting more with nature, or maybe you're harking back to things that you've experienced in the past a little bit more, or maybe the parental energy is stronger, because this is particularly the male energy, and this can be like your immediate parents, or a parental energy, but more perhaps on the male side, or maybe you're having to come out more being the fatherly sort of protector or provider sort of energy there. But bear in mind that Mercury does go retrograde between the 5th and 25th, and so you can easily look that up. There's astrology all over the place on the internet now, and basically, if you've been following the astrology, you'll know it, what kind of thing it means: hold-ups, delays, having to think things through a little bit more thoroughly, because you've got the time to do it, because there are these maybe sometimes crossed wires, or something in the communication sort of area isn't working in the way that it should be. And then also in January 2016, Venus is very much in a good place, actually, come out of your sign and gone into quite a materialistic area. So it means that you can do okay with resources coming your way, or with the piggy bank, or with property matters. You can do okay there with help. The load is spread. The problem, if there is one, is shared in this very sort of materialistic area, to do with stuff, possessions, but also bigger stuff like property, buying, selling, renting, leasing, and the like. But again, enjoying what you have as well, whatever that might be in the way of assets, or the way of property, possessions, and so on. That's more likely then. And then Venus is in there for the most of the month, just moves up right at the very, very end, and goes into this communications area, where you are very much in the exchange of movement, of sharing with others, of mixing and mingling, meeting and greeting, and making maybe really important key links or connections with others. In some cases they can be really important, in some cases they can just be quite pleasant because you quite like the surroundings. It might be a little bit more entertaining, more appealing, or more to your taste, that kind of thing, with Venus there, and you feel that sort of brotherly or sisterly energy coming towards you. Venus tends to oil the wheels and brings in the balance, and also means that wherever Venus is, she loves to share. So there's usually somebody else that you're doing this with, whatever the house is that Venus is in. And this particular house, if you want to look for it elsewhere, happens to be the third house. And then Mars has been in that very background area where you've been hiding your light under a bushel a little bit. You've had to look after your energy all through December, and now Mars is going to break out from the 4th into your sign. And this is going to be interesting, because for a lot of 2016 you're going to get Mars in your sign, but you'll be hearing that when you listen to the stars for 2016, which are coming out any minute now, so you can look out for those. But Mars comes into your sign from the 4th, which means that you could, the clarity comes. Instead of the hiatus, instead of the hanging fire, instead of the uncertainty, it comes into focus. Things just start getting clearer cut. And then you can got the information, make the decisions. Mars is in there for well over this month anyway, and it's again, don't let Mars run you ragged, because that can happen. Now, of course, we need to look at the other planets, the slower outer planets, which are all in the same places as they were in December. So for December and January, these are all in the same places, slightly different degrees, especially Saturn, but they're all in the same places. So Saturn is now, of course, in the sign after yours for about 2 years, and this means that you should be putting more concentrated effort into the material side of life, the physical side of life, health and fitness, your own, somebody else's. And you can be successful through disciplined effort because you have to, manage the piggy bank and work steadily on improving things regarding domestic setup, property, place on the map, resources, assets, things that you can make money from, capitalize on, and maybe, feeling a lack there because that is the way Saturn operates. She comes into an area and then throws a spanner in the works sometimes and makes it. So that means that we learn, we build, we evolve because we reach for what we want and we work for it. So gradually this side of things, this material side of things, this financial, property, assets side of things will come together, and also the physical side as well, diet, exercise, what goes through the body, your body or somebody else, maybe that you are concerned about at times. It is a long transit and it will shift into various zones of degrees over that time. So even though the whole sign feels it, it's only when by degree it zones in that then you go through a little short period of really meeting some challenges. So be kind to yourself, encourage yourself, and don't take your eye off the ball, basically. And now, of course, I can't see what I wrote up there, which is you Scorpios born the 29th of October to the 4th of November, or with 6 to 12 degrees rising in December, are going to feel that energy the most. And those of you born from the 3rd of November to the 8th of November, or with 11 to 15 degrees rising, are going to feel that in January the most. Right, but the whole sign will feel it in lessening degrees. And then Jupiter is in a very fortunate angle to your sun sign for you two, much better than last year. And that's over, quite a few months. That's until next September. So Jupiter will help you to grow and learn through new associations and friendships, or within a collective of others who have some common interests in some experience or some ism or ology or practice, or just something in common. And new friends, colleagues, or those with a shared aim or interest, so people that you resonate with will be interested in your experience and what you have to teach. And so this is your opportunity to share your knowledge with others, but also vice versa, you as the student learning from them in certain situations. You Scorpios and Scorpio rising born from the 12th to the 16th of November with 20 to 24 degrees rising, going to feel that energy the most. And then in January, that it's more or less the same in December and January, shift very, very slightly. And then, of course, Uranus you've had for a long time in your 6th house. That means chopping and changing in the job situation, or chopping and changing with different methods and techniques, and setting out with one set of ideas and plans, and then realizing, if you're on your toes and keeping your eye on the ball, that you've actually got to shift and change and duck and dive a little bit with work, but also realizing that you have to be innovative, you have to be ahead of the pack as well with work and health. So looking into the alternative, the complementary, would be very much advised with Uranus there. And also being innovative with work. I might have said that. And then Pluto, your ruling planet, is in your 3rd house area of communications. And so you are slowly going to be evolving a new perspective on life, a deeper understanding of your everyday environment. It's almost as though the scales will fall from your eyes and you will see everything that you consider to be familiar and mundane in a whole new way. And that's it for December. January, very shortly, the stars for the whole of the year will be coming out, and I wish you well for the festive season. I hope you have fun, and listen to your moon sign or your rising sign. That can give you some more information. If you want to check any of this out, it's written up on my website, the basics of it. And that's it. I will see you the next time.